afternoon and welcome to this wonderful section on the foundation class or introduction to human resource management for every one of us that is going for the certified human resource management professionals course. My name is Ebru Jibanito and I'm going to be your facilitator in this program. By privilege, I am a certified human resource management professional. I'm also a chartered global human resource management professional. I am a licensed human resource management professional as well by the Chartered Institute of Management, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management in Nigeria. And I officially want to welcome you and asking you also to sit tight. Make sure that you get all information you can, and as much as you can, feel free to ask us questions. And we will be available to distribute your answers or perhaps give answers to your questions. All right. Okay. So one more time, you're welcome. In this class today, we are going to be starting with the introduction to human resource management. And I'm sure this might not be your first time of hearing about human resource management. However, you want to upskill, you want to learn more about human resource management, and then you want to also get to the practice of human resource management. We have about 8 courses or 8 modules we are going to be dealing with in this particular course. And by the end of this program, you will be certified as a human resource management professional, having met all requirements. All right. So now permit me to progress very speedily. And like I said, if you have a question, drop that in the comment section and we'll pick them up and deal with that accordingly. This particular program will last us roughly 2 hours to go through, or this particular class rather will last us roughly 2 hours, and then we'll continue from wherever we stop in our next class. One more time, you're welcome. Now, let's quickly look at what we have to cover in this introduction to international human resource management. We're going to be looking at explaining what is human resource management. Then we'll look at defining what human resource management is all about. And then we'll explain the scope of human resource management. We'll describe the processes in human resource management, explain the skills of HR professionals, explain the role of human resource management in performance management. Then we explain the hiring strategies followed by organization and describe the various retention strategies. And then we will progress at looking at human resource planning, how HRM manages employees' performance, and then we'll explain management of contractors, what strategic human resource management is all about, what global human resource management is all about, and then we'll look at the human resource information system, and then we summarize with the tips for effective HRM. Now, this is going to be taken for a period of 2 to 4 hours for us to exhaust this, but in this first section, we'll try as much as we can to take as much as we can, and then in the next class, we'll be completing the section. One more time, you're welcome, and let's begin to roll. Now, these are some questions I would like us to look at in this introduction, and then give your answer in the comment section. The question says, whom do you send your resume to when you see job opening that interests you? Who gives you the job offer and discusses your pay package with you? Who inducts you into the organization when you are a new employee? Whom do you contact when you have any doubts regarding your pay package, your perks, your benefits, your conveyance, your leave management, and so on? Who helps you in the final exit formalities when you leave an organization? Who takes care of your training and development needs? These are basic questions I would like us to look at. And I know you must have guessed correctly that this is the office of the human resource manager. It is the human resource manager and people from the HR department who take care of you right from the time when you apply to a company, you get the job, you join the company, are working with the company till the time you leave the company. So the HR manages your entire life cycle of involvement within the company. The HR always stands by you and supports you during your tenure with the company. Hence, HR managers are also known as people managers, people enablers, and the practice as human resource or people management professionals. Now, in your entire life cycle in your organization, you have the human resource manager or the human resource department playing your key role from the time you come in to the time you exit the company, and make sure that all information you need to be at your peak performance within the organization are provided to you, and they give you the best support to make sure that you give in your best within the organization. Now, the human resource management is an important function of any organization. It encompasses the management of people in organizations from macro perspective, that is managing people in a form of collective relationship between management and employees. Now, what this means is we don't manage people as tools, rather we manage people in a form of creative relationship that will better the lot of the people and the organization. Thus, the HR function is concerned with the notions of people enabling people development and the focus on making the employment relationship fulfilling for both the management and the employees. Now, let us get into detail in this course. So let's start with the first one, which is explaining what human resource management is all about. So what is HRM? We'll look at it in three ways or three perspectives. The first is that we look at HRM as being an art and a science. Now, by being a science, or first, by being an art, it is more of managing people by recourse to creative and innovative approaches. By art, we understand that human beings exhibit behaviors. Human beings live by behaviors, they live by emotions. Okay, so by an art, it means we have to find creative and innovative ways of managing people's behaviors, people's attitudes, people's emotions, so as to deliver within the confines of the company or within the confines of the job for which they are employed. Now, by science, we also try to talk about how to create precision and accuracy in recruitment process, making sure that we hire the most beneficial people to the organization. And this is where behavioral science comes to play. This is where psychology comes to play. So we try as much as we can to use behavioral science to be able to, and also application of science in quote. In this case, we have information technology tools that have been developed to help in the recruitment process. So all of this can be used, and we also have scientific theories that can also be applied in the whole recruitment process to make sure that we get the right people for the organization. Now, HRM is all about people in organizations. No wonder that some multinational companies call the HR managers as people managers, people enablers, and the practice as people management. In the 21st century organizations, the HR manager or the people manager is no longer seen as someone who takes care of the activities described in the traditional way. In fact, most organizations have different departments dealing with staffing, payroll, and retention, and so on. Instead, the HR manager is responsible for managing employee expectations vis-a-vis the management objectives and reconciling both to ensure employee fulfillment and realization of management objectives. So I've read a lengthy statement, but let me break it down. And now what this is trying to explain that in the current day business environment, the project or perhaps the human resource manager is interested or is basically responsible for making sure that there is fulfillment in employment. Now, by fulfillment in employment, this simply means that the HR manager does his or her best to make sure that the objectives of the organization are achieved through the people. And at the same time, the people's expectations are delivered through the organization. So is a vis-a-vis, is a pari passu, a symbiotic relationship. Organizations achieve their objectives through the people, and the people achieve their expectations through the organization. So what the HR does in this case is to manage expectations of both the organization and those of the employees, making sure that every stakeholder involved is having the best fulfillment in the employment process. Now, let's quickly look at defining what human resource management is all about. And we're going to look at this in two perspectives. The first, we're going to look at the traditional perspective, and then we'll look at the contemporary perspective. The traditional perspective talked about what human resource management was, okay, before the 24th century, and then we look at what it is today, okay? Now, traditionally, the first definition of human resource management is that it is the process of managing people in organizations in a structured and thorough manner. This covers the fields of staffing, there is hiring people and retention of people, pay and pegs setting and management, performance management, change management, and taking care of exits from the company to round off the activities. This is the traditional definition of HRM, which leads some experts defining it as modern version of personnel management function that was used earlier. Now, when we talk about the traditional definition of human resource management, we most often refer to the definition of personnel management, which in most cases sees people as tools, okay, sees people as tools of production, okay, and that does not really connote the human configuration in the term human resource management. Now, looking at the other side of the contemporary definition, the second definition of human resource management encompasses the management of people in organizations from a macro perspective, that is managing people in the form of a collective relationship between management and employees. When we say macro, that means nobody is less important. When we say macro, that means the organization is important as the people. And then when we look at it as collective relationship, we're looking at it on the basis of the organization has objectives, the people also have objectives. So if we must fulfill organizational objectives, then we must also fulfill the individual objectives of the people that are found in the organization. All right. Okay, this approach focuses on the objectives and outcomes of the human resource function. What this means is that the HR function in contemporary organizations is concerned with the notion of people enabling, people development, and the focus on making the employment relationship fulfilling for both the management and the employees. Now, quickly, let's look at the importance of HRM for organizational success. Does HRM have as its own contribution in ensuring that organizations succeed? There are various reasons for organizations to have a HRM strategy, as well as the business drivers that make the strategy imperative for organizational success. It is a fact that to drive in the chaotic and turbulent business environment as we have it today, firms need to constantly innovate and be ahead of the curve in terms of business practices and strategies. It is from this notion to be at the top of the pack that HRM becomes a valuable tool for management to ensure success. So when we talk about using the HR strategy, we're using the concept of having to understand that people have behaviors, people have emotions, and they need to be managed. And the expectations of people will drive their behaviors and their emotions. So if you want them to give you better emotions, then you want to have good HRM practices in place, good HRM strategies in place. Now, moving forward, we'll have this importance of organization summarized in three perspectives. The first is the evolving business paradigm. The second is the strategic management and HRM. And the third is the need for adopting a holistic approach in managing organizations. Now, if we talk about the evolving business paradigm, we understand that we are now in an ever-evolving business environment. And of course, we need to understand the best practices, the best business practices for us to stay at the top of our in the top at the industries and stay at top of our businesses. So one of the factors behind organizations giving a lot of attention to their people is the nature of the firms in the current business environment. There has been a steady movement towards an economy based on services. Hence, it becomes important for firms engaged in the service sector to keep their employees motivated and productive, irrespective of the advent of artificial intelligence in the workspace. We still cannot undermine the need for human resources in the work environment or in the business environment. The artificial intelligence cannot outrightly replace the need for humans. It cannot. Okay, it cannot. Because why? We design businesses to serve through humans. So the AI can only serve as a support system to the human resource management strategy of any organization. Any organization that ventures into making artificial intelligence a complete strategy for its human resource management, that could be a failure from the start. So even in the manufacturing and the traditional sectors, the need to remain competitive has meant that firms in these sectors deploy strategies that make effective use of their resources. This changed business landscape resulted due to paradigm shift in the way businesses and firms view their employees as more than just resources and instead adopt a people-first approach. It is also important for us to understand that your customers will always pay attention to what your HR strategy says. If you pay attention to the people first, then your people will pay attention to the customers first. Now, if you do it the reverse way, it will also provide you a reverse result. So in time as this, where business continue to becomes a non-negotiable requirement and sustainability is a non-negotiable requirement, then we must understand that HR is for us to make the best advantage. It is to us one of the best strategies we could adopt in business management. Now, the second importance hinges on strategic management and human resources. By the time we look at what strategic management is all about, it's all about decision making that we advance our organizations. Now, you don't need robots, just robots or AI to make decisions. Now, there are things robots will not be able to know. There are experiences robots might not be able to have access to, but you need people to be able to bring those experiences, bring those knowledge together and be able to help you make decisions. So you need the right people in your organization to be able to drive your company's vision, to be able to drive your company's mission, to be able to drive your goals and objectives. And of course, the strategic management aligning with HRM simply means that there must be an alignment between organizational goals and the people's goals. So this is very, very important. So moreover, there is a need to align organizational goals with that of the HR strategy to ensure that there is alignment of the people policies with that of the management objectives. This means that the HR department can no longer be viewed as an appendage of the firm, but instead a vital organ in ensuring organizational success. The aims of the strategic management are to provide the organization with a sense of direction, in this case, talking about vision and mission and feeling of purpose. The current HRM practices in many industries are taken as seriously as the marketing and production function, and you are also recommended to do so. Now, the last importance we're going to talk about here in the phase we are dealing with is the need for adopting a holistic approach in business management. The practice of HRM must be applied to the overall strategic goals for the organization instead of standalone things that makes or that takes a unit-based or a micro approach. The idea here is to adopt a holistic perspective towards HRM that ensures that there are no piecemeal strategies and the HRM policies enmeshes itself fully with those of the organizational goals. The practice of HRM needs to be integrated with the overall strategy to ensure the effective use of people and provide better returns to the business or to the organization in terms of returns on investment. For every rupee or dollar or naira or CD or whatever amount you spent on them, unless the HRM practice is designed in this way, the firm stands to lose from not utilizing people fully. And this does not bode well for the success of the organization. Now, having looked at what human resource management is and the importance thereof, now let's quickly explain the scope of human resource management. Now, human resources are undoubtedly the key resources in an organization, the easiest and the most difficult to manage. The objectives of the HRM span right from the manpower needs assessment to management or retention of the same. To fulfill this purpose, HRM is responsible for effective designing and implementation of various policies, procedures, and programs. It is all about developing and managing knowledge, skills, creativity, aptitude, and talent, and using them optimally. Human resource management is not just limited to manage and optimally exploit human intellect, it also focuses on managing physical and emotional capital of employees. Thus, the scope of HRM is widening with every passing day, considering the intricacies involved. Now, if we look at this tree, we'll see the different branches, the different aspect of human resources, not limited to all of the things we've mentioned here. These are just part of the components. Okay, so you have the HR planning, you have rewards and recognition, grievance handling, training and development, industrial relations, hiring, where you talk about recruitment and selection, and you have the payroll management, you have the legal procedures, and every other aspect. You also talk about the area of information and information technology and management. Okay, so these are very, very important aspects of human resource management. These that we see on the screen does not cover all, but these are some of the critical aspects. Therefore, human resource management is about developing and managing harmonious relationship at workplace and striking a balance between organizational goals and individual goals. Now, in the scope of human resource management, we categorize them also into three. We have HRM in personal management, HRM in employee welfare, and HRM in industrial relations. Now, if we take the first one, which is HRM in personnel management, it is typically direct manpower management that involves manpower planning, hiring, training and development, induction and orientation, transfer, promotion, employee productivity, compensation, layoff, and retrenchment. These are all involved in HRM as in personnel management. Now, the overall objective here is to ascertain individual growth, development, and effectiveness, which directly contribute or which indirectly contribute to organizational development. It also includes performance appraisal, developing new skills, disbursement of wages, incentives, allowances, traveling policies, and procedures, and other related courses of action. Now, when you look at HRM and employee welfare, just as the name is a particular aspect of HRM which deals with working conditions and amenities at workplace. This includes wide array of responsibilities and services such as safety services, health services, welfare funds, social security and medical services, and others. It also covers appointment of safety officers, making the environment worth working, eliminating workplace hazards, support by top management, job safety, safeguarding machineries, cleanliness, proper ventilation and lighting, medical care, sickness benefits, employee injury benefits, personal injury benefits, maternity benefits, unemployment benefits, and family benefits. These are all encompassed in employee welfare. Now, it also relates to supervision and employee counseling, establishing harmonious relationship with employees, education and training. Employee welfare is about determining employees' real needs and fulfilling them with active participation of both management and employees. When it comes to fulfilling of employees' expectations, the management and the employees have to play the active role. In the same way, when it comes to fulfilling the objectives of the organization, both the management and the employees also have to play their active role. In addition to this, it also takes care of canteen facilities, crèches, rest and lunch rooms, housing, transport, medical assistance, education, health and safety, recreation facilities, and so on. Now we look at HRM in industrial relations. As the keyword is industrial relations, it's a highly sensitive area. It needs careful interaction with labor employee unions, addressing their grievances and settling the disputes effectively in order to maintain peace and harmony in the organization. It is the art and science of understanding the employment or the union management, relations, joint consultations, disciplinary procedures, solving problems with mutual effort, understanding human behavior, and maintaining work relations, collective bargaining and settlement of dispute. The main aim is to safeguard the interests of employees by securing the highest level of understanding to the extent that does not leave a negative impact on the organization. It's about establishing, growing, and promoting industrial democracy to safeguard the interests of both employees and management. Now, did you know that another vital part of the HR planning process is the succession planning? Succession planning refers to the way in which company forms policies for replacing key members of its organization, shifting transfer of authority and responsibility carefully from a leaving member to a new member. This often entails ensuring that an arriving employee has the necessary training and experience to fulfill their action. So irrespective of the fact that we deal with HR planning, but core to HR planning, we also need to consider succession planning if we want to have sustainability. Now, quickly look at this question and let's have your view in the chat room. It's a multi-choice question. Which of the following is not a scope of HRM? We have training and development, payroll management, grievance handling, and quality management. Please feel free and let's have your answer in the chat room or in the comment section. You can feel free to type A, B, C, or A or D as you may have, so that you don't take all the time in typing. So go ahead and let's see your view in the comment section. Okay. So whatever be your answer, the right answer here is quality management. It's not part of the scope of HRM. Now, quickly, let's look at the processes in human resource management. What are the processes involved in human resource management? When organizations build processes, the essence is to make sure that the organizational goals are achieved. So in the same vein, when we look at process of human resource management organization, it is also established, or they are also established to ensure that we have organizational goals achieved. And most often, it is more about how people relate and interact with the work environment and the things thereof. Each organization works towards the realization of one vision. The same is achieved by formulation of certain strategies and execution of the same, which is done by the HR department. At the base of this strategy formulation lie various processes, and the effectiveness of the strategy formulation lies in the meticulous design of these processes. Now, let's quickly look at these processes. So the first that we see there is that human resource planning is generally considered as the process of people forecasting. This is right, but does not completely define what human resource planning encompasses. It also involves the processes of evaluation, promotion, and layoffs. So human resource planning involves the following functions: recruitment, where it aims at attracting applicants that match a certain job criteria; selection, which is the next level of filtration. This aims at shortlisting candidates who are the closest match in terms of qualifications, expertise, and potential for a certain job. Then we have the hiring, which involves deciding upon the final candidate who gets the job. Then we have the training and development, which also is the process. The processes that work on board employees for up graduation of their skills and abilities. So the training and development is the learning system that helps employees to upgrade their skills so as to be their skills and abilities so as to be able to deliver. So the first process we therefore have looked at is the HR planning. Now, the second we will look at is the employee remuneration and benefits administration. Employee remuneration and benefits administration, which in this is the process that involves deciding upon salaries and wages, incentives, fringe benefits, and perquisites, among others. This process is very important because money is the prime motivator in any job. Performing employees seek raises, better salaries, and bonuses. Then you have the third process, which is performance management, which helps the organization to train, motivate, and reward workers. It is also meant to ensure that the organizational goals are met with efficiency. The processes can be conducted for not only the employees, but can also be conducted for a department, product, service, or customer projects, all towards enhancing or adding value to them. Nowadays, there is an automated performance management system, the PMS, that gathers and provide all the information to help managers evaluate the performance of the employees and assess them accordingly on their training and development needs. They will have the fourth process, which is employee relations, which includes labor law and relations, working environment, employee health and safety, employee to employee conflict management, employee to employer conflict management, quality of work life, workers' compensation, employee wellness and assistance programs, counseling for occupational stress. All these are critical to employee retention, apart from the money or remuneration, which is only a hygiene factor. Employee retention is a nuisance in the organization, especially in industries that are hugely competitive in nature, though there are myriad factors that motivate an individual to stick to or leave an organization, but few such as stated above are certainly under our control. Now, quickly, let's look at another multi-choice question. Which of the following is an aspect of HRM which deals with working conditions and amenities at the workplace? In the same vein, you can go ahead and type A, B, C, or D in the chat room to confirm your understanding. Now, the correct answer here is the employee welfare, which is an aspect of HRM which deals with working conditions and amenities. Now, we'll now quickly look at the skills of HR professionals. What are the skills of HR professionals? We've summarized this in 4, where we look at the HR skills, the decision-making skills, the technical skills, and leadership skills. Now, let's quickly look at each of them and see what they have to offer to us. Now, the HR skills, sorry, just a moment. In the HR skills, the HR managers are required to know how people play a role in the organization, an advantage against the competition, as well as the policies, programs, and so on. Today's HR professional must be skilled at communicating, negotiating, and team development. So now we've mentioned 3 critical aspects of skills that the HR manager must have. You must be skilled at communicating, you must be skilled at negotiating, and you must be skilled at team development. Now, when we say communication, communication does not only stop at oral and written. You must also develop IT skills that enhance your communication. You must also develop your skills in the areas of data management. So data analytics, data science, they will be good skills for you and myself. Now, I have the second one, which is decision-making. Decision-making skills. HR managers should take a variety of decisions that affect whether employees are qualified and motivated and whether the organization is operating efficiently and complying with the law. This requires knowledge of the organization's line of business, and decisions must take into account social and ethical implications of their activities. So these kind of decisions must be guided with well-informed data. Now, you have the technical skills. In the technical skills, these skills are specialized skills. In HRM, professionals need knowledge of state-of-the-art practices in such areas as staffing, development, rewards, organizational design, among others. So as a HR manager, you must possess technical skills in this domain. Leadership skills. HR managers need to play a leadership role with regard to the organization's HR. In today's environment, leadership often requires helping the organization manage change. HR professionals must oversee the changes taking place to make it a success. Now, let's quickly look at the emerging functions of HRM, the emerging functions of HRM. So you have HRM in the space of business and strategic partner. You have HRM in the area of employee advocate, and you have HRM in the area of change champion. Now, in the aspect of business and strategic partner, we've talked about HRM being able to negotiate, which is a business skill. So as part of the skills for HR must be must have good business acumen, okay, must have good business acumen. That will also help him to become a strategic partner with organizations, all right? HR managers contribute to the development of organization, realization of business plans, and achievement of objectives. Now, for the employee advocate, the key word is advocate. We've talked about industry relations and how the HRM try to stand as a mediator between organization and the employees in such a way that it does not negatively affect the organization and does not negatively affect the individual. So this art is called being an employee advocate. So HR managers must have to serve as advocates of the employees. It means that they have to create a work environment in which the employees are motivated, contributing, and happy. They have the HR serving as a change agent or a change champion. The HR managers must have to be change agents, thus requiring them to acquire knowledge about and the ability to execute successful change strategies in the organization. One of the first aspects of change is on people. Okay, any change that comes in will require that people must also change. All right. So for every change that comes in, the HR must be able to know how to package and manage the change in such a way that the people will be able to follow through. All right. Now, tip. Internal scans are used to identify key movement and patterns within the organizations, which internal scans are used to identify key movement and patterns within the organization which may affect HR operations. External scans look for outside factors such as economic conditions and the need for certain skills which affect employment. Now, I want us to understand that when it comes to business environment, in HR perspective, we have two environments. We have the internal environment and we have the external environment. So the internal environment deals with the internal patterns and movement within the organization that affect HR operations, while the external factors are things that are outside that may affect the HR, but the HR does not have control over it. So for instance, when you talk about forest exchange, the HR does not have control over it, neither the organization. Okay, they are external environment. When government put out policies, like in Nigeria now, the federal government, through the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, has put out a policy that everyone in the admin department must professionalize in human resource management and administration. That is a law that even the HR department cannot alter it, they cannot change it, they can only play by it. Those are external factors that can affect HR practices. We also have international conventions, international laws and regulations. They can also affect HR. HR can only play by them, not fighting against them. Now, moving forward, we'll now look at the difference between human resource management and personnel management. Now, personnel management, traditionally, the term personnel management was used to refer to the set of activities concerning the workforce, which included staffing, payroll, contractual obligations, and other administrative tasks. In this respect, personnel management encompasses the range of activities that are to do with managing the workforce rather than resources. Personnel management is more administrative in nature. The personnel manager's main job is to ensure that the needs of the workforce as they pertain to their immediate concerns are taken care of. Further, personnel managers typically played the role of mediators between the management and the employees, and hence there was always the feeling that personnel management was not in tune with the objectives of management. So personnel management, even till date, we still have organizations that have personnel, they have administrative department and they have human resource department differently. Okay. I remember one of the federal government organizations I visited, and we are privileged to have access to training their staff. And then the director of human resource management told me that what they have in the organization is that they have human capital management. They don't have human resource management. Of course, that is where HRM is going. The direction of human resource management is to move we moved from personnel management to human resource management. Now, the direction of human resource management is human capital management. And in that particular organization, they are already operating in the level of human capital management. Now, in that same organization, they have the department responsible for administration. So in most organizations today, you have segregation of responsibilities from the administrators to human resource managers. But in most cases, you have them combined. You have organizations having department like human resource and admin, or admin and human resource, or admin and general services and stuff like that. Okay. Now, what does human resource therefore entail? Why the personnel management was much more rigid, okay, much more how would I put it, administrative based. With HRM, there were little additions that made a difference. With the advent of resource-centric organizations in recent decades, it has become imperative to put people first, as well as secure management objectives of maximizing return on investment on the resources. This has led to the development of modern HRM functions, which is primarily concerned with ensuring the fulfillment of management objectives and at the same time ensuring that the needs of the resources are taken care of. Now, in this case, when we talk about resources, we're talking about the human resources. All right. In this way, HRM differs from personnel management, not only in its broader scope, but also in the way in which its mission is defined. HRM goes beyond the administrative task of personnel management and encompasses a broader vision, or a broad vision, of how management would like the resources to contribute to the success of the organization. So in HRM, there is a direct relationship between work definition and work returns. Okay. All right. Now, having established that, let's quickly look at some of the HRM practices, and we'll look at job analysis and job design. So we'll look at job description and job specification as well. Now, let's quickly move on. Now, the first one we'll deal with is job analysis. Before we start designing any job, we must first of all analyze the job so that we can find the terms and conditions and the most appropriate specifications and requirements for the job. Now, job analysis is a systematic exploration, study, and recording the responsibilities, duties, skills, and accountabilities, work environment, and ability requirements of a specific job. It also involves determining the relative importance of the duties, responsibilities, physical and emotional skills for a given job. All these factors identify what a job demands and what an employee must possess to perform a job productively. Now, in job description, because after you've done your job analysis, you go ahead and describe the job you want to create. Job description includes basic job-related data that is useful to advertise a specific job and attract a pool of talent. It includes information such as job title, job location, reporting to and of employees, job summary, nature and objectives of a job, tasks and duties to be performed, working conditions, machines, tools, and equipment to be used by a prospective worker, and hazards involved in it. Now, we'll also look at the job specification. The job specification is also known as employee or person specification. A job specification is a written statement of educational qualifications, specific qualities, level of experience, physical, emotional, technical, and communication skills required to perform a job, responsibilities involved in a job, and other unusual sensory demands. It also includes general health, mental health, intelligence, aptitude, memory, judgment, leadership skills, emotional ability, adaptability, flexibility, values and ethics, manners, and creativity, among others. Now, by the time we go deeper into this course, by the time we take the module on job analysis and design, we'll be able to walk through this section practically on how to create these things, and you will also be able to create them on yourself and understand how they are being used. Remember that we're still looking at the foundation or introduction to human resource management. Now, I have the job design, which follows job analysis, and it is the next step after job analysis. It aims at outlining and organizing tasks duties, and responsibilities into a single unit of work for the achievement of certain objectives. It also outlines the methods and relationships that are essential for the success of a certain job. In simpler terms, it refers to the what, how much, how many, and the order of tasks for the job or jobs. Now, as part of HRM practices, we also look at training and development. Please be reminded that as we move forward in the course, we also have a module that has to do with training and development. Now, training is a planned effort to facilitate the learning of job-related skills, knowledge, and behavior by employees. Development, on the other hand, is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and behaviors that improve an employee's ability to meet changes in job requirements. So you can make a difference between training and development. Most often we just say training and development, but there is a difference between these two. So training is a planned effort to facilitate the learning of job-related skills, knowledge, and behavior by employees, while development is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and behavior that improve an employee's ability to meet up with the changes in job requirements. Now, still on training and development, the following considerations need to be taken into account when an HR professional tries to assess training and development needs of the employees of an organization. You are focused on current job skills or future job skills. So when you're trying to train, is it going to be a focus on current job skills, or is it going to be a feature for future job skills? Do you have individual orientation or group orientation? Is it going to be a training for individual orientation, or is it going to be a group induction program? Then is it going to be a training for few employees, or is it going to be a training for all employees? Is it going to be a spontaneously unplanned training, or is it going to be a systematic planned training? All of these considerations need to be put into place while deciding on training and development. Now, we'll now quickly look at HRM and performance, the role of HRM in performance management. Performance management is the process of reviewing an employee's performance during the preceding year or cycle and deciding where he or she stands as far as their peers in the same bands are concerned. Hence, performance management is all about the process of reviewing results, arriving at rating, and then deciding upon the bonus or salary hike. Now, when we say reviewing results, we mean the individual results that the people are bringing in, the employees are bringing in, okay? Typically, the process of performance management starts a month or two before the appraisal cycle ends. The appraisal cycle can be half-yearly or yearly, depending upon the policies of the organization. Further, the appraisal cycle can be based on the calendar year or the financial year. That is, it can run from January to December of the same year or April to March of the following year. In the same vein, it can be half-yearly as well. Appraisal process. There are different rounds to the appraisal process, and I would like you to pay attention to this and apply it to your own organization. Now, the first cycle is when we have in the first round, the people who participate in an employee's appraisal at this stage in the appraisal process, in the first round, are the employee and his manager. In this round, the manager gives a frank assessment of the employee's performance after giving a chance to the employee to self-assess himself or herself. The second round consists of the ratings from the manager and the manager's manager. This round is mostly about deciding the band in which the employee falls post the rating and in comparison with his or her peers. This process of rationalizing the employee's performance with others is called normalization. So you have in civil service in Nigeria, you have things like service level grade 8, service level grade 10, 12, 13, 14, and as the case may be. Now, before you move from one service level grade to another, service grade level to another, you must have met certain conditions of performance. Okay, and that is very, very important. Now, the final stage is where the HR manager is involved as well. In any case, the ratings cannot be decided without the HR manager's assent to the same. Once these rounds are over, the bonus level or the salary hike are decided. So whether to go up or to go down. It has been found that the performance management process as it exists in many organizations leaves a lot to be desired. In fact, surveys and studies have found that the majority of employees who quit organizations do so because of differences over their ratings. In other words, attrition is in many cases a direct consequence of the way in which the performance management process was managed. This happens because personal biases and prejudices affect the process. In many cases, if the manager and the employee do not see eye to eye on many issues, the appraisal and the ratings are the place where this difference of opinion comes out into the open. So if you don't want to lose your staff, if you don't want to demotivate your staff, you must be as objective as possible when carrying out a performance process. So this is very, very important. Okay, so let's quickly have a view of hiring strategies followed by some organizations. Hiring strategies followed by organizations. Hiring strategies followed by organizations. People are the lifeblood of any organization. Every organization needs to be staffed with people of caliber and mettle. Hence, the kind of people that an organization hires is critical to its success. In this respect, the hiring strategies followed by organization takes on prominence in today's competitive business environment. So you have hiring that takes place at different levels. You have hiring can be for entry-level positions or lateral hiring where people with experience are taken on board. For the hiring, people can also be based on competitive exams, like you have your aptitude test and all of that, and mostly for the entry-level staff, and the personal approach favored by HR managers for senior level positions. So we have competitive exams mostly for the entry staff, and then you have the decision of the HR in most cases when it comes to senior management levels. In recent times, hiring also for the entry levels has taken on an entirely new dimension with the campus recruitment procedures that rely on getting the best talent available from the campuses. So you have campus recruitment also going on to the people being recruited from campuses. Okay, then you have the other way of hiring is through selective approach where the staffing department entrusts the placement consultant with the task of identifying potential employees by picking profiles from employee databases and consultants' own database as well. So you can also hire through the use of outsourcing consultants or placement consultants. The most niche hiring take place at senior levels, where the essence is discreteness, and hence dedicated consultant or HR professionals approach the people at higher levels on a one-on-one basis. Sometimes you want to hire C-suite level officials or C-suite level managers. You may not want to go on publicizing. You may want to go on one-on-one meeting to be sure that yes, you are getting the right people and they're also willing to have a change from where they are to where you want them to be. Hence, different hiring strategies are used for different levels in the organization. Now, components of the hiring process, of course, we'll have the interview. Whatever is the hiring strategy deployed, the essential component of the process remains one or less the same. This includes choosing from the available candidates, taking a decision as to the pay and pegs, making an offer, and finally getting them on board. The hiring process ranges from less than a month or so to drawn out affairs for niche placements. When we say niche placements are highly professionalized or highly delicate aspect of recruitment. For instance, when you want to hire a HR professional, you don't just go hiring everybody. You must be sure that the person you're hiring meet the requirement of a HR professional. If you want to hire a managing director, you don't just go advertising. You must be sure that the person is coming in is going to fit in to your demands as a managing director. The strategic imperative that underpins hiring depend on the ability of the organization to effectively leverage its reputation, flexibility in the roles that are available, availability of skilled resources, and finally, the package that the organization is willing to offer. The term fitment is often used as HR jargon, which is also about whether a particular person is suitable for the role that is being filled and how well he or she fits the job profile. One of the reasons for attrition in the organization is the fact that many employees join an organization with a set of assumptions about their role, only to have their hopes dashed in reality. Hence, in recent times, industry experts have focused on this aspect of ensuring that people are hired only if they are of the right fit. Therefore, hiring people is a key component of a company's internal strategy, and hence something that needs detailed attention and focus. And this is where the HR also plays a very crucial and critical role. Now, retention strategies. Retention strategies. Any employee retention strategy would necessarily include a plan for redressing employee grievances and ways and means to address employee issues. This would mean that the employees are able to convey their issues regarding pay, their work, their role, and so on. The HR manager for each division let me go through that again. This will mean that the employees are able to convey their issues regarding pay, their work, and their role, and others to the HR manager for each division and expect to get a fair hearing in the process. There should be a plan where the HR manager works in conjunction with the grieved employees manager towards resolving the issues. What components do we have in retention strategy? So we'll look at the job rotation component, the grievance redressal component, and then we'll look at mitigating job dissatisfaction. Now, job rotation. One of the most common retention strategies is job rotation. Job rotation is the practice of moving the employees around different functions of the organization with a clear emphasis on making sure that they operate in domains other than the ones assigned to them initially. This ensures that the employees get trained on competencies beyond that of their assigned roles, and this would lead to greater motivation to pick up additional tasks, additional skills, and motivate them to perform better. So many organizations find themselves in doing this. In the early days of my career, that I was privileged to get hired by an organization, which was a food company. Okay, so then they will put you across different departments. So this week you might find yourself in production department. Next week you are at the finance department. The other week you are at the pizza department. Another week you are at the chicken pepperoni department. Another time you're at the ice cream department. So they keep changing you just to make sure that you build capacity and you can easily be effective in any department that you're being put. And this has a way of also retaining staff. Then you have the grievance redressal. Grievance redressal is the most critical and crucial component of the HR plan, as research has shown that an employee with pending issues awaiting resolution is twice more likely to quit the company than the other employees. And hence, all efforts must be made to redress the grievances of employees. Therefore, an effective retention strategy would focus on preventing as well as addressing grievances. Though it is not the contention that all grievances can be prevented, they can be preempted by actively listening to the employees from time to time. This strategy of listening to the employees will revolve around a concept of one-to-one meetings between the employees and the HR manager, and employees and the HR representatives for the unit or division. The aim of such regular one-on-one meetings would be to identify potential causes of friction among the employees and any issues they may have vis-a-vis their job and benefits. These issues need to be brought out into the open before they become contentious, which may cause the employee to feel frustrated and quit the job. Hence, all effort must be made to identify sources of employee dissatisfaction and hygiene factors that must be taken care of for proper functioning of the employees. They will have mitigating job dissatisfaction. Management theorists often emphasize the fact that one of the reasons for low employee morale is management theories often emphasize the fact that one of the reasons for low employee morale in organizations is the fact that employees often feel alienated and cut off from the larger purpose. Employees feel that they are a part of an impersonal setup and perceive themselves to be unable to make a difference to the whole unit. Hence, there is a need to involve the employees in the larger picture and provide them with perspective on the bigger picture. Hence, there should be effective strategies like job rotation, interaction with other units, timely promotions, and cross-functional teams wherein the employees would feel themselves to be contributing to the larger goal of the company. Now, quickly, let's look at human resource planning. Please be reminded that we are still looking at introduction to human resource management. We're still looking at introduction to human resource management. Human resource planning is a process including forecasting, developing, and controlling by which a firm ensures that it has the right number of people at the right place at the right time doing work for which they are economically most useful. Forecasting future workforce requirements either in terms of mathematical projections of economic trends and industrial developments or through judgmental estimates based upon specific future plans of the company. Making an inventory of the existing manpower resources and analyzing the degree to which these resources are managed. Anticipating workforce problems by projecting present resources into the future and comparing them with the forecast of requirements to determine their adequacy, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Planning the necessary programs of recruitment, selection, training, deployment, utilization, transfer, promotion, development, motivation, and compensation so that the future workforce requirement will be met. All of these descriptions are pointing towards human resource planning. Now, let's look at the processes involved. First, you start with the forecasts of labor demand. Forecast of labor demand. What's the labor demand? There need to be a forecast of demand within the organization. And then there is going to be a forecast of labor supply, which is going to be a function of where do we get it from. Now, this forecast of labor demand and forecast of labor supply is going to be a function of forecast of labor surplus or shortage within the organization that is tilted towards goal setting and strategic planning of the organization and tilting towards program implementation and evaluation. So organizations do analysis of manpower and then they find out if they have surplus or they have shortage. If they have surplus, then they may want to rotate, they may want to retrench, okay, or engage in other standard hiring practices that will leave the people satisfied. Now, that forecast of surplus or shortage is going to be a function of the goals and strategic planning of the organization. And to be able to implement these strategic goals and plannings, it will require human beings. This requirement of human beings is going to be on the function of demand of labor and supply of labor. So this is typically what HR planning process is all about. First, we'll look at, do we have shortage or do we have surplus? And then look at the shortage or surplus we have. Are they meeting up with the organizational goals and strategic plans? Are they meeting up with the work that need to be done? Do we have enough or do we need to go for more? Okay, this is just what it entails. Now, let's quickly look at this multi-choice question, and I would like you to put your answer in the comment section. Which of the following is not a part of human resource planning? Which of the following is not a part of human resource planning? Remuneration and benefits, recruitment and hiring, training and development, promotion and layoff. I want you to put A, B, C, or D in the chat room. Which of these is not part of human resource planning? Okay, so I'm going to jump through the question and then I will go through the next, which is training administration. Training administration. The following are the various kinds of trainings provided to employees. Remember that we're still looking at retention strategies. So the following are the processes you could use for training. Of course, you understand that training is key to retention. So you have induction training, supervisory training, technical training, and management development. For induction training, it is where the new recruit is introduced to the organization, condition of services, rules of behavior, and so on are established to the person. Now, in addition, it also gives room for the new person to familiarize with the job and with other aspects of the organization. The supervisory training, supervisors are trained for technical skills, leadership qualities for handling machines and men. The technical training is a type of training program that helps in inducting new entrants into the operational requirements of the unit and improving the skills of existing employees for promotion. So technical trainings, most often, they are hands-on trainings. Then we have the management development training. This type of training is for existing or future managers. This training program emphasizes attitudes and values and conceptual knowledge, analytical abilities, and decision-making skills. The purpose is to equip personnel for management roles, and this course is an example of such. Now, let's quickly look at compensation, starting with direct compensation. Let's have an overview of compensation, starting from direct compensation. Compensation simply means how you are rewarded within the organization for the labor or for the work you're putting through. So compensation, indirect compensation can come in form of basic salary, medical reimbursement, special allowances, bonus, leave or travel allowance, conveyance, house rent allowance. All these can be considered in the direct compensation process. Now, in the indirect compensation, you have things related to the leave policy, overtime policy, hospitalization, insurance, holiday homes, retirement benefits, and flexible timings. Okay, there's a video here I would like us to watch, but for the sake of time, I will move on and I will share the video link so that you can also have access to watching it. Now, let's quickly look at how HRM manages employee performance. Okay, so we use this grid on the screen to quickly look at managing employees' performance. Now, this grid is a function of motivation and ability. So motivation is plotted against ability. And then you have this grid divided into two. You have the high and the low. Right now, where you have on the ability side, you have high and low. On the motivation side, you have high and low. So it's divided into four, rather. It's divided into four. So on the upper side, you have where you have high motivation and high ability. And we define those people as solid performers. High motivation and high ability, they are solid performers. How do you manage them? Reward good performance, identify development needs for them, and provide honest and direct feedback to them. Then still on that first column, you have low motivation but high ability. You call them underutilizers. How do you deal with them? Give them honest, direct feedback, provide counseling, use team building and conflict resolution, link rewards to performance outcomes. Then on the other side of the column, you have the misdirected efforts. That is where you have high motivation but low ability. How do you deal with them? Coach them, give them performance feedback, set goals for them, provide training and assignment for skills development, and restructure their job assignment. Then you have the last group of people there. They are low on motivation and low on ability. You call them deadwood. Withholding of pay increases could motivate them. Demotion could motivate them. Outplacement, firing, specific direct feedback on performance could actually motivate them to becoming better at their performance. Now, let's look at other techniques we can use in managing performance. The first we will look at is job enrichment. Work is often seen as means to gratify the inner desires of actualization and satisfaction. Job enrichment is an attempt in this direction. The characteristics identified as constituting job enrichments are the job task significance, skill variety, and task identity. Now, under the task significance, we say is the degree to which a job has an impact on the lives and work of other people. On the task identity, it is the degree to which a job requires completion of a whole or identifiable piece of work. Now, the skills variety is to the degree to which a job involves a number of skills in which or in carrying it out. So skill variety, job enrichment simply entails that the skill variety, you need variety of skills to be able to do your job. Your job involves completing a whole or identifiable piece of the work before you can say, yes, you've done a job. And then task significance, there must be an impact of that work on the life of others and on the organization as a whole and in your own life. Still on job enrichment, we have autonomy, feedback from job, feedback from others, and dealing with others. On the autonomy, the degree to which a job provides freedom, independence, and discretion to the employees in scheduling and determining their work. And this is where work is going to now. In the constant evolution that we have, organizations are beginning to give more work autonomy to their staff. They are now focusing more on work that must be done rather than marking time when you came and when you did not come. Okay, then you have feedback from job, the degree to which the job itself provides direct information about effective performance is. Then you have feedback from others, which is the degree to which the employee receives clear feedback from supervisors and co-workers. All of these contribute to job enrichment, and they contribute to job motivation, and they contribute to job performance. The degree to which a work requires working closely with other people, that's dealing with others. Now, what are the inputs required for HRM? What are the inputs you need for effective management of human resources in your organization? You have duties and responsibilities of every job in the organization, skills possessed by each employee, identification of training needs, future human resource needs of the organization, current productivity of human resources. All of these are needed inputs for you to be effective in human resource management. Now, job satisfaction and organizational objective. What is the alignment between job satisfaction and organizational objectives? Job satisfaction simply means that the expectation of the employee is achieved. Organizational objectives simply mean the objective of the organization are achieved. So let's look at how the two correlate. First, we have sense of challenge and worthwhile accomplishment. Job satisfaction comes when there is sense of challenge and worthwhile accomplishment. The worthwhile accomplishment is on the level of organizational objective, achieving organizational objectives, which in return brings forth satisfaction to the person. Now you have opportunity for personal growth and development, opportunity for taking initiatives, superiors' appreciation for good work, decision-making authority, opportunity for promotion, job freedom. All of these correlate job satisfaction and organizational objectives. Then you also have opportunity to influence superiors' decisions. So not that every time your superior's decision stands utmost, but in an environment where job satisfaction must be achieved, then the junior staff must have a way of also influencing the decisions of the senior staff. You have the social prestige of the organization. Most often people get satisfaction because of the social prestige they get by working in such organization, not necessarily how much they are being paid. Okay, considerate and helpful boss, congenial colleagues, opportunity to serve society, job security, pay allowances, and other perquisites. All of these contribute to job satisfaction, which also in turn motivate employees to be able to deliver to organizational objectives. Now, quickly, let's look at management of contractors. Most often in HR, we use contractors in placement activities like HR placements, payroll management, and a whole lot of others that come in handy when dealing with human resource management. Now, in recent times, there has been a marked movement towards outsourcing positions within organizations to vendors who would supply resources for the required jobs. These positions and roles are deemed to be those that can be performed by external resources. The contractors step in to do the job that has been outsourced. The performance the phenomenon of using contractors for regular positions is becoming popular, or is becoming popular, and it is common to see many of these temporary workers doing the work that would have otherwise been done by full-time employees of the organization. So we see most of this in the bank, we see most of this in insurance companies, training companies, where most people work, but they are not full-time staff of those organizations. So outsourcing is one of the major areas. Outsourcing is one of the major areas. And of course, by the time you're done with this course, this is very, very important. I need you to listen to this information. By the time you're done with this course, you're done with Certified Human Resource Management, and you take any of Strategic Human Resource Management or Global Human Resource Management, you will be given an accreditation as a Certified Human Resource Management Consultant. Okay, so you become an accredited Human Resource Management Consultant, and that is key. That is where you begin to operate as a HR contractor or a HR outsourcing agent, and you have valid certifications to back up whatever thing you do in that regard. Now, for managing the vendors, some issues that need to be considered before hiring contractors pertain to the way in which the liability arising out of non-performance of the contractor is handled, the extent of control that the managers have over vendors, and payment terms and conditions that organizations have with the vendors. It has been found in studies and surveys that contractors and vendors operate in the gray areas of employer-employee relationship, and hence managers need to be on their guard when dealing with vendors. Liabilities and punitive actions aimed at vendors usually end up being unresolved because of the way in which the contracts were worded. So you have to make sure that your terms and conditions for the contract, whether you are the one giving the contract to a vendor or you are serving as a vendor to a company, you must make sure that the contract is well defined. Hence, it becomes imperative for the organization to be diligent before hiring vendors. The practice of hiring vendors has greatly increased, and hence there is a need for both sides to sit down and discuss the modalities of the contractual relationship before committing themselves to the same. In this way, disputes over responsibilities and accountabilities can be amicably resolved if the contracts are worded in such a way that there is little room for ambiguity. Benefits of hiring contractors. Till recently, the practice of hiring contractors or temporary staff (temps) was restricted to the administrative and support functions like HR and infrastructure management. However, due to its various benefits, it now encompasses the areas of regular work like project delivery and execution. Now, the benefits here include less overheads to filing or to fill in a temporary demand that does not need hiring permanent employees. The organization need not provide health benefits and pension benefits to the contractors, and hence these costs can be saved. On completion of the project, the contractors can be reverted to their parent organization or the vendor or relieved in case of independent contractors. The organization hiring the contractor is not burdened with excess staff once the project is completed. Issues with hiring contractors. There are several issues that pertain to hiring and management of contractors. Many IT companies hold significant bench strength as a means of having a buffer when new projects come their way. This bench of employees are reserve employees who have been hired for upcoming projects and are kept on bench or kept idle till they can be placed in a project. However, for many mid-sized and small-sized organizations, maintaining bench strength is often luxury. So not everyone has the capacity to maintain bench strength. So if they anticipate new projects coming their way, they immediately ask the vendor to supply them with the resources that are needed for the new project. Of course, in reality, there is often lag between the request for new resources and the resources actually coming on board because of the time taken to screen the contractors and time taken to bring them up to speed regarding the work that needs to be done. Now, let's quickly take a look at this real-life example. It will help us to understand more of what we are dealing with. Globus Incorporated is a leading software giant. It handles several projects in a year while catering to its numerous clients spread across the globe. The Human Resource Department has noticed that majority of its projects are about 2 or 3 months long. Also, they receive projects which require resources of different skills from one project to another. Globus has recently acquired 2 different projects, one for developing a Java-based software and another for developing an installation of a SAP-based software. How can the HR cater to the varied needs of different projects while keeping the recruitment and overhead costs low? Let us see how the HR department handles such staffing pressures. The HR department has used a policy of hiring independent contractors to fulfill such short-term projects. Such independent contractors are chosen as per the skill sets required for each project. Also, when the project is completed, the contract with the contractor is terminated. By using contractors instead of full-time employees, the HR is able to cater to the requirement of the different skilled resources for each project. The cost of recruitment and overhead costs such as conveyance, specs, the PFs, and gratuity, and so on, are saved by using contractors to complete the projects. The PF here stands for the pension funds. Pension funds. Now, let's quickly look at what strategic human resource management is all about. Remember, we are still looking at the introduction to human resource management. By the time we get into our class tomorrow, we will look at manpower planning, compensation planning, or compensation management, and then if time permits, we'll also look at other aspects. Now, let's quickly review what is strategic human resource management. The strategic human resource management is the practice of aligning business strategy with that of HR practices to achieve the strategic goals of the organization. The aim of the human resource management, SHRM, is to ensure that HR strategy is not a means but an end in itself as far as business objectives are concerned. The idea behind SHRM is that companies must fit their HR strategy within the framework of overall business objectives and hence ensure that there is alignment between HR practices and the strategic objectives of the organization. So when you get to strategic human resource management, we'll deal more with HR strategies and how you align them with the business strategies. With the advent of new economy industries like IT and the mushrooming of service sector, organizations all over the world realize that the human resources must be viewed as a source of competitive advantage as opposed to treating it much the same way in access to technology or capital is concerned. What this means is that the practice of HRM is being viewed as something that promotes the business objectives of the firms and not merely another factor in the way the firm is managed. The fact that organizations derive their strategy from employees instead of imposing strategy upon them is the essence of SHRM. With the advent of today's economy where services account for a major share of the GDP and the fact that the service sector is essentially people-centric, it is imperative that the people-first approach be embraced by organizations for sustainable business strategy. The practice of SHRM demands a proactive and hands-on approach by the management as well as HR department with regards to the entire gamut of activities ranging from staffing and training and development to mentoring and pay and performance management. How does HRM really work? Many organizations in recent times have decided or have dedicated people managers whose sole function is to look after the enabling and fulfilling of the needs of the resources. This is a marked change from treating people as just resources to treating people as assets. For instance, Infosys, an IT company, states that people are its assets, and the famous statement by Mr. Narayana Murthy, one of the founders of the company, that the capital of Infosys works in every morning and works out every evening, has to be taken in this context. Hence, it is crucial that an organization should leverage upon the capabilities of its employed people and ensure that the human capital is nourished and nurtured as a source of competitive advantage. This translates into dedicated HR department and people managers in every group dealing exclusively with employee issues as opposed to treating this as a line management function. Now, let's also review that of global human resource management as we begin to round off this section. With the advent of globalization, organizations, big or small, have ceased to be local. They have become global. This has increased the workforce diversity and given rise to cultural sensitivities. This globalization of organizations and their workforces led to the development of global human resource management. Now, in the human resource management course that we're dealing with, we have the first general concept of human resource, which is a general course, and that's the one we're dealing with now, after which you'll be certified as a certified human resource management professional. After that, you go to the strategy dimension of human resource, which is where we talk about human resource management as in its strategic approach, that's strategic human resource management. However, we understand also that businesses are growing to operate in the global scale. So that also gives birth to the global human resource management. And there are different perspectives to all of this. So as we progress in the course and as we progress in the profession, you understand more. Now, what is global human resource management? Even those organizations who consider themselves immune to transactions across geographical boundaries are connected to the wider network globally. There is interdependence between organizations in various areas and functions. The preliminary function of global human resource management is that the organization carries a local appeal in the host country despite maintaining an international field. To exemplify any multinational or international company would not like to be called as local. However, the same wants to have a domestic touch for the people in the host country, and herein lies the challenge where global human resource management has to play it through. What are the objectives of global human resource management? To create a local appeal without compromising upon the global identity, generating awareness of cross-cultural sensitivities among managers globally, and hiring of staff across geographic boundaries. They have training upon cultures and sensitivities of host countries. The strategic role of human resource management in a global scenario is to ensure that HRM policies are in tandem with and in support of the firm's strategy, structure, and controls. Specifically, when we talk of structures and controls, the following become worth mentioning in the context of global HRM. Some of us could have followed the incident that has been happening in the crypto environment, where Binance executives were withheld in Nigeria due to violation of labor laws and tax laws in Nigeria. Now, if they had a better positioning in their global HR management, I'm sure they would have dealt with that even before it became an issue. So these are some of the things. Some organizations are growing so fast-paced and they have become global without knowing, and they've not paid attention to the global dimension. They are operating as though they are in their parent country or their local environment without paying attention to the host countries where their customers are now deriving benefits from the services they give. So for us in the HRM environment, we must pay attention to globalization and its effect on HRM. Now, let's quickly look at this strategic integration of global HRM in business. So the first aspect of it deals with decision-making. There is a certain degree of centralization of operating decision-making. Compare this to the international strategy. The core competencies are centralized and the rest are decentralized. Now, what this means is when you begin to operate in the international environment or operate as a multinational or an international organization, there are decisions that could be centralized, but you will also find that some of the decisions will be decentralized. The different branches of the organization across the globe will have certain level of autonomy to take decisions. All right. Then the next thing there is coordination. A high degree of coordination is required in wake of cross-cultural sensitivity. In addition, there is also a high need for cultural control. Why in the global environment we have cross-cultural domains? It therefore calls for coordination of these cross-cultural domains to avoid mismanagement of these sensitivities, and this could cause a breakout. I think that's one of the issues that Binance, Coinbase, and some of these crypto organizations are facing. Now, not just in Nigeria, just across the globe, we have issues of crypto companies facing these issues. Okay. They have integrating mechanisms. Many integrating mechanisms operate simultaneously. Okay, so you can integrate mechanisms from the parent company, and it is widespread across the other branches where your organization operates as a global organization. Now, let's quickly look at this real life example. We'll be using the McDonald's as a case study. McDonald's, burger giant McDonald's Corporation, is one of the largest restaurant chains in the world. It has a widespread presence across the globe, including India. McDonald's is well known for its hamburgers made with ground beef, French fries, and multi-shakes. However, in markets across the world, McDonald's respects local cultures and has adopted its menu and dining expenditure to local preferences. So McDonald's has varied its menu to accommodate the tastes and cultural sensibilities of residents in countries around the globe. In India, McDonald's restaurants have dropped beef and pork from their menu, in keeping within the sentiment and religious practices of Hindus and Muslims. Also, the kitchens of McDonald's in India are divided into separate sections for cooking vegetarians and non-vegetarian foods. McDonald's has always maintained a strong localization policy, while at the same time maintaining its international brand image and flavor across the globe. McDonald's has also embraced a policy of hiring local talents at various levels to promote localization of its presence. The large success of McDonald's is attributed to its ability to cater to the local tastes without losing its brand image. In India, some of its American classics have been introduced in numerous vegetarian versions like the McVeggie Burger and the McSpicy Pioneer, as well as chicken offerings. Now, let's quickly look at the global HRM and the staffing policies that exist across the global HRM domain. Please be reminded that this class is available on YouTube. So in case you joined us late or you join us later than we started, please feel free to visit our YouTube channel and then get the course in full. And in case you've not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe at IIPM International. IIPM International. The role of staffing is still the same here. That is hiring individuals with requisite skills to do a job, particular job. The challenge here is developing tools to promote a corporate culture that is always the same everywhere, except that local sensitivities are taken care of. A key challenge faced in hiring is deciding upon the top management or key positions, whether to choose a local from the host country for a key position or to deploy one from the headquarters assumes importance. And finally, whether or not to have a uniform hiring policy globally remains a big challenge. Now, let's look at some of the staffing policies. We have the first one that we call the ethnocentric policy. The ethnocentric policy, staffing policy, the key management positions are filled by parent country individuals, So irrespective of where the company is located, somebody from the parent country must fill the key management positions in that location. Then you have the polycentric. In polycentric staffing policy, the host country nationals manage subsidiaries, whereas the headquarter positions are held by the parent company nationals. So that's what we call it poly. So poly hybrid. Why the nationals, the host country nationals, manage the subsidiaries in that particular country, the headquarter positions are managed by the parent companies or the parent, the nationals of the parent company. Now, in geocentric, in this staffing policy, the best and the most competent individuals hold key positions irrespective of their nationalities. That's the geocentric. The best and the most competent individuals hold key positions irrespective of their nationalities. In ethnocentric, all the key positions in the headquarters are handled by the parent individuals from the parent country. In the polycentric, subsidiary stations are managed by country nationals, individuals from the host countries, while the headquarter positions are handled by individuals from the parent nationals. Now, on the geocentric, it doesn't matter where you're from, provided you have the capacity and you're competent and you're the best at what you do, you will assume the position. Tip: geocentric staffing policies seem to be the best when it comes to the global HRM. The human resources are deployed productively, and it also helps build a strong cultural and informal management network. The flip side is that human resources become a bit expensive when hired on a geocentric basis. Besides, the national immigration policies may limit implementation. Now, let's quickly look at this multi-choice question. In which of the following staffing policies do the host country nationals manage the subsidiaries, whereas the headquarters positions are held by the parent company nationals? I want you to put your answer in the chat room, in the comment section, so that we'll see it. So I'm going to move very fast to issues affecting HRM. Issues affecting HRM. We have issues as mergers and acquisition, re-engineering, international expansion, downsizing, outsourcing, total quality management. All of these issues affect HRM. All of this, when there are mergers and acquisition, there is always a clash between the people that acquired and the people that merged. Are we going to send out, are we going to retrench those from the people we acquired, or are we going to retrench from the current staff that we have? Then also, when you re-engineer a business process, a business environment, you find out that there could be shortage of competencies, shortage of skills from existing staff. So are you going to fire them to hire new ones, or what? Okay, so this is very, very important. This is very, very important. They have international expansion. This is also an issue. Should we expand? Do we have the capacity, or should we remain where we are? Then you have downsizing, and then you have outsourcing and issues of total quality management as well. Now, improving HRM, how do you improve HRM? You can improve HRM with this information available. Now, you can improve HRM through transformational strategies, which in most cases is 5 to 15% most of the time that you have HRM improved. What does this mean? It means strategic redirection and renewal, cultural change, and management development. This is what strategic transformation simply means. When you want to have a strategic redirection and renewal, When you want to have cultural change, and when you want to when you engage in management development, you are engaging in transformational strategies of HRM improvement. Then you have the traditional approaches, which in most cases contribute to 15 to 30% of the time. Studies establish that things like recruitment, selection, training and employee relations, performance management and compensation, they contribute about 15 to 30% of HRM improvement if they are done well. They have the transactional, which is most often 65 to 75%. Here you talk about the benefit administration and employee services and record keeping. What this simply means, in a sentence, is to tell you that compensation and benefits management has a great role to play in improving your HR. You could be the best company, having with the best service, but if you don't have good compensation package, you have the poorest of the staff. And this is the challenge that most startup companies have. Okay, the challenge of most startup companies is that they don't have all the financial resources to pay. So it is difficult for them in most cases to have the best hands. They can also indulge in things like process redesigning, information technology, and outsourcing. It can also go a long way in helping you improve your HRM. Now let's look at the HR information system. One of the significant and emerging areas in human resource management is the HR information system. Today, organizations need accurate and timely information to take human resource decisions. The speed with which information is retrieved, procured, and analyzed for decision-making account for the efficiency of organization. HRIS is a systematic way of sorting data and information for each individual employees to aid in planning, decision-making, and submitting reports to other departments. HRIS is defined as composite database, computer applications, and hardware and software that are used to collect, record, store, manage, deliver, and manipulate data for human resource management. And as we progress in HR, that strategic human resource management, we'll pay attention to the HRIS very, very importantly. It will become one of our areas of hands-on. Now, tips for effective HRM, tips for effective human resource management. Number one, stay focused on the needs of the business. Stay focused on the needs of the business. This would help you to know the kind of people to recruit per time. Then top leader sponsorship and buy-in. There must be commitment from the top management to always have the best of HRM. Comply with company strategy, correspondence with stakeholders, employees and top management involvement in company's development. Change management and communication strategy must be top-notch. Address issues and issues relating to resistance to change. Of course, we've talked about grievances and things like that. Now, let's take another case study as we round off on this introduction to human resource management. Now, observe the human resource people of your organization. Note down the following observations. What are the different roles that the HR people of your organization perform? What are the characteristics of HR people that make them effective in their roles? How has the presence of an HR department helped you in your employment? Now, we want you to observe all of this, and then feel free to type your comment and put them in the YouTube section of this particular video. So the link to this video will be made available in the chat room, and then you can go ahead and share your experience. Also, in this case study, Kate Jones is a human resource manager. He has noticed that many team members under the leadership of David Schindler are facing problems regarding his dominant attitude, rudeness, and authoritarian approach. Some of David's team members have even approached Kate with a request to change their teams. Now, question number one, what do you think Kate should do to help David's team members? And number two, how can Kate help David get close with his team and resolve the issue? This case study with the questions are the things we'd like you to think through and come up with solutions. By the time we come to our next class, we'll review them all. Now, in summary, human resource management, in context of what we've dealt with today, we've dealt with the human resource management in terms of scope, training administration, global HRM and staffing policies, HRM processes, job enrichment. We've also dealt with Under the global human resource management and staffing policies, we dealt with the ethnocentric, polycentric, and geocentric. On the human resource management processes, we dealt with human resource planning, employee remuneration and benefits administration, performance management, and employee relations. Under the job enrichment, we dealt with skills variety, task identity, job significance, dealing with others, feedback from others, feedback from the job, and then job autonomy. Under the training administration, we dealt with induction training, supervisory training, technical training, and management training. Under the scope, we dealt with HRM in personnel management, HRM in employee welfare, and HRM in industrial relations. Okay, so when you get access to this material, please feel free to check the glossary for some of the definitions that you will need for your own study. Thank you so much for your time, and we are grateful to you. Thank you for completing this session on Introduction to Human Resource Management. Our class continues tomorrow by 2 p.m. Nigerian time. If you're joining us from Ghana, that will be 1 p.m. Ghana time. If you're joining us from Kenya, that will be, please kindly review the time in your own domain, but the Nigerian time is 2 p.m. West African time. So please, we look forward to seeing you by tomorrow. And we also want to use